Okay, good afternoon. It's Ricky here, speaking on Tuesday afternoon, 21st of July at 3 p.m., starting with the flight webinar. Today's flight webinar, we're showing the San Francisco version of flight. Canto name each of their different versions of flight based upon the different airports in America, which confused us a little bit to start off with, but once we got used to it, it's really good. The next version of Flight will be coming out middle of August, so we'll probably run some new webinars early in September, and that will be called the LAX version. Now then, a few housekeeping rules as we're getting people dropping in as I speak now. Now, on your GoToWebinar control panel screen there, you will see there is a chat message, so I can tell you that it's a lovely sunny day here in Queensland. And you should get that chat message showing up there in your GoToWebinar screen. And you can see that we've also got a questions area there. Now then, I will try to get through this presentation in about 30 to 40 minutes and leaving time to do questions at the end of the presentation. If during, whilst I'm showing a U flight, if you want to ask questions at any time, please do, and I will try to get to those questions as we go. You can send those questions in via the questions panel is best because I'll keep my eye on there. But if you want to use the chat and just comment on some of the features, that's good as well. Okay then, so I'm going to be showing today my full screen for Flight, and the reason is that I'm going to feature later on the InDesign integration. So you're seeing my whole desktop here. I'm running on a Macintosh, I'm running on Safari, and I'll just start off by checking into Flight here. You could see on the previous screen there that I've branded Flight specifically for DataBasics purposes, both with a logo and a splash screen. Okay, and so during the first part of the presentation, I will be going through general flight features. There's around about 10 people on the meeting just at the moment. I'm just watching the people come in, and I can see, other than a couple of people, most of them. Hi, Megan, I can see you. It's late at night over there in America, but I can. Most of the people won't be acquainted with Flight, so I will be taking you through the basics. Towards the end of the presentation, I will go into some of the more advanced concepts, showing you how a portal will run and how you can set up a sub-selection of the content to be available to other areas. It might be customers of yours, it might be other areas of your organization. So if you're a university and want to show out to different departments, and then I'll be jumping into the InDesign integration. So to start off with some basics, when you catalog any image into or any asset into Flight, it'll immediately be dropped into one of these smart albums that sit across the top of the screen here. You can see that we've got a images smart album, obviously showing two-dimensional images of a whole different wide range of formats. You can see mostly there will be JPEGs, or you can see I've got some GIFs here. You'll see that I've got some PSD files, also some PNGs. There's a big range of different formats that can be cataloged into the Flight product. For any of these formats, Flight creates a thumbnail for you, and you can see all of these different formats being shown on the screen there. And it will also create a preview. So I'm just looking for my file over here, and I like this one particular. It shows some lovely desert flowers taken from Alice Springs last year, and that's the preview. So for any different image uploaded into Flight, you'll get the thumbnails and previews. The next smart album here is the video smart album, and again a wide range of different video formats. You see I've got some MOVs, some MP4s, it's AVIs and more, Windows Media Player there as well. And you can see that we've got a thumbnail, and if I click on one of those video files, you can see that it also streamed the video file. Now, this is a fairly large video file, and of course I am broadcasting this webinar, and just checking on the number of people we've got in there. Yes, and yep, and you can see that it broadcasts the video in HD format. I can hear it play now, and I know you can't hear it play. That's a go-to-webinar sort of thing, but it is playing in full sense around here, and I can come in and I can scrub forward to any part of the video, as you can see here. That's a very good thing. I'll just turn the sound down here. Good, so I can hear myself speak. And we can go right through to any part of the video, and that's really excellent video playback capabilities, and I really compliment Canto for making this capability available in flight. And you can see there I've scrubbed back through the video file as well. Very good video streaming capabilities there. Okay, so from our video smart albums, we go to audio files. I won't show the audio files, mainly because there's nothing to show. They play, which, as I said, you don't get to hear them over the GoToWebinar presentation. Jump into documents. Documents are a range of, as we'll see, PDF files, Word files, some EPS files, traditional documents, again being shown via their thumbnail and also a preview of them. Some PowerPoint presentations over here, and again being shown by the thumbnail. We'll see more about the PowerPoint presentations. And over on the far right, our 6 smart album show other formats that don't fit into the first 5. So I've got a flash video there, I've got a InDesign file, and I've got this fairly complex audio file here. One of my engineers uploaded this file. And it just shows you that you can put any sort of file you like at all into flight. Okay, to go back to my dashboard, my entry point, I just click on the logo in the top left-hand part, and that brings me back into the main panel within Flight. Some other basic things that you can do in Flight. We can go across to a list view. When we went into the Documents Smart Album, we saw the assets listed vertically in a list view. We can change the thumbnails. We can go up to a large thumbnail if we like. I will stick to this small thumbnail for the presentation. And we can choose the sort order by date or by alphabetical order. Okay, now then, moving through this, from the smart albums appearing across the top of the screen there, we can also have our own folder and album structure being shown on the left-hand side of the screen over here. Now, I'm going to concentrate mainly on the genre and the location. I will show the upload to Flight. This is showing our box integration there. And I'll show a little bit of this one called My Client, and I'll be showing that in the Portals presentation. So these folders here, this is really so you can create a simple organization or classification of your content. So in my genre folder here, I've got a range of different what we call albums. So you can see an album has a different icon on it, and the asset gets placed into an album. And you can see that when I've gone into my genre folder, my albums are showing across the screen here. They're showing graphically, so I can jump into my romance album and see the 5 assets in there. Notice how I can have images or a sound file, an audio file. You can put anything into these different albums. I can jump up back to my genre, and I can go off to my fantasy album over here. We'll be seeing some more of these files here from my friend Hayley Gillespie, but you can see we can navigate either via the breadcrumb shown across the screen here. We can navigate by using the folder and the album shown on the left-hand side of the screen, or we can just click on the icon shown in the screen, in the center thumbnail display here. So the genre is a simple structure. It's a flat structure, being one folder and multiple albums. But here when we go into locations, you see that I've got a much more complex structure showing. So I've got Australia as a location. We've got different regions of Australia showing, and each one of those have got an album. If I just step back up to my locations, you can see that within that Australia is a folder sitting within the location folder. And within the location folder, I've got an album for Singapore. Singapore is a city, a location, a country, and an island all in one. So it's really not a hierarchical place for structuring there. But I've got a folder for New Zealand, so I can go into New Zealand, see all of the different regions in New Zealand that I've been recently, go up to locations and go down into my Australia folder. I don't think that there's any real practical limit to the number of folders that you can have over here. I think it's really going to become an issue of how wide this panel is and a usability sort of thing. I wouldn't really suggest going past about 3 or 4 folders at the most. Maybe stick with 1 or 2 would probably be good. Otherwise, your users might get a little bit confused going into multiple folders deep. Okay then, just going back up to the top level. Now then, within our folder structure there, we've got our smart album showing across the top. We can also do searches. So I just go up to the search area here. I'm just going to do a couple of simple searches. So I'll search on blue and we'll see some assets have got blue. And if we jump into those assets somewhere, we'll find where the word blue has been pulled up from. I can also come in here and search on city. And when I search on city, we see a couple of things. We see some assets showing here as expected, but we also see some folders here. So let's just jump into the Singapore folder, and I'm going to use this arrow that's at the bottom of the screen to go and look at the metadata, the search and retrieve information that has been assigned against this folder. And you can see here that we've got the word city there in the description, so it's both a country and a city, and you can see that when we've searched on city that it's pulled up the metadata from just about anywhere within the actual tags that have been added to this folder. And of course, if we go into one of these assets over here and look at the metadata here, we'll find somewhere in there is the word city is showing as well. Okay. So that shows you that when you first catalog your images into Flight, you'll immediately be able to go to any of the smart albums running across the top of the screen to find where the image has been categorized. You can, of course, go across here to My Uploads. My Uploads will show you where any of your more recently uploaded files will sit as well. Once you've uploaded files, you can then classify them into a range of different folders and albums, as shown on the left-hand side of the screen here. And you can also have searches to search and retrieve the content. So let's have a little bit of a further look at the metadata that we can search on. Now then, I'm going to go into my Brisbane album here, and I'm going to choose one of my favorite files over here, and I'm just going to go to the metadata associated with this image. And this is a fairly well developed asset. It's got quite a bit of metadata associated with it. In the bottom left-hand side of the screen here, you can see all of the metadata that has been extracted automatically from the asset. So you can see technical information like the site, the dimensions, when it was uploaded, who uploaded, embedded information such as the author, further information about what application is associated with it. And at any time you can click on this More button here and it'll show you all of the different metadata that's being associated with this file. So this list, as you can see, it can get quite long, and the list that we show over here on the left can be configured under the settings menu item to just show a short list of all of the different metadata that you might want to extract from an asset. And all of this content is being extracted automatically. Now then, above that, we then get what we call our custom metadata, and it's underneath this information tag here. So you can see that I've got 4 metadata fields. I've got a asset reference, which gives me a number that I can use to identify that asset with, a record management ID. So this may be if I'm using a record management system, something like a system commonly used in government or councils, and I want to associate a record management ID from another system. I could be creating that field here. A ranking here, a pull down menu item here. So I'm ranking these files with different sorts of ratings, depending upon how we might prefer the usage of this file to be. And I could also have a field over here, maybe in my case here for related assets. I would put in the asset reference for any related assets that are associated with it. I use this, for example, when we've got a talent request form, a document where somebody has signed off their permission for their image to appear maybe in a photograph, and you wanted to have the asset reference for that talent request form to be related back to the image. So that's information that comes from the custom metadata fields. You can create as many of these different fields as you like. You can have text type of input. You can have pull down menus. You can have date fields. This is very flexible here. Then above this, and we'll see a little bit more about this, is the approval status. Everybody needs some sort of level of control, governance about the content, what is approved for release, what's just been uploaded and is pending. So we can see our approval status here. Automatically, when files first get uploaded, they get put into a pending status. Then we can move them across into an approval status. Might be a collaboration. We can show more about collaboration later on. And when they're in approved, they're released for access for the general community to access them. Or we might move them into restricted, maybe like the talent request form. We don't want people generally to access that. That's really just for the team who needs to know, and we put it into a restricted area. Okay, so that's some of the metadata that can appear in there. I can see that I've already got a question, one of my favorite questions that I'm prepared for. Can flight record GPS information? And yes, it can. So we've got a couple of images here. If I just go and have a look at one of these images and go into the metadata over here, you can see if I scroll down, we've got the longitude and latitude showing. We also have the GPS time showing and the GPS image direction. This image was taken with an iPhone, I believe, and this is typical for any of the later model iPhones. So yes, we can have GPS metadata showing in our content. Okay then, next let's have a look at some text extraction. So I'll just jump over into my Documents Smart Album and I'll look at my readme.txt file here. It is a text file, there is no real graphical image for it, but it's a good example that when we go into the document text field here, and if I just put my cursor over that, you can see that we've got all of the text from that text file is showing here. This is a fairly simple case showing the text being extracted from a text file, but say if we go across into presentations and we have a look at maybe this first one here and have a look at the details here, and here we go. We've got some more document text for this one, and you can see there's quite a bit of text in this file. This is all of the text being pulled out of that PowerPoint presentation that you can read, you can search on. It all becomes essentially metadata for free. It is a very good thing. Okay, then let's go back to my Brisbane album over here and back to my Brisbane image here. Okay, so just working around the clock, I've started over here going through the details, the metadata that's embedded in a file, going through the information. This is metadata, custom metadata that we've created and we've added to the content, the approval status here. So moving up to the top, description. This is just a text field that we can add in any amount of text here. So yes, I can have anything that I like in there, and all of that becomes searchable. So I could be searching, say, for Breakfast Creek. Moving right along over here, we've got different albums. Now then, we've already shown the albums. They're the organization on the left-hand side. Remember, albums are where we actually put the assets in, and those albums belong within a folder. Now, you can drag and drop assets into albums. When you first drag something into Flight, you can drag it straight onto an album if you like. But just to show you the gist, you can also click on the plus sign here and choose an album. We could scroll along to find the folder I want this file to be in, or I can run a search up here and I choose that I want to add it to local content, and you can see my local content album is now as also tagged back to this image. So that image now, if I just jump back to my folder structure, we've seen that image in Brisbane folder over here. We've gone over here into our local content, and we can see that image showing up there as well. And I believe it was in a third album, but I have forgotten what that third album is. But the point being here is that we can associate an asset into any number of different albums. Now, the asset is not being duplicated. We're not using up extra storage. It is the same file in all cases. It's just being cross-referenced into multiple different locations to make it easier for us to find it. Now then, let's have a look at keywords and tags, and this will finish up the little tour of the metadata. So the keywords, now keywords are fairly simple. We've got a pull down menu item here under our settings, and just to let you know, settings come off your image in the top right here, and if you have a trial account, settings are available to pilot users. Now then, and in the settings, you can create and control and manage your list of keywords. Now then, I can scroll down here. I can select a keyword this way. I can use type ahead, so I can just type in RE and go straight to red, for example. And if I want to assign that to this image, I just click the plus button there, and that keyword is now assigned to this image, so it becomes searchable. Tags, straight underneath here, tags, there is no pull down menu, and that's really the difference. It's a free form entry. So say if I want to enter in bridge, you can see I've done that before. I just want to have a free form entry, and I click the plus button, and now bridge is assigned to that image as well. So keywords and tags, this simple way of adding, tags, metadata, searchable content to assets so you can search and retrieve them. Okay, so I've just added bridge to that item there. If I just come back here and maybe go and look at some of this content over here, just to change my selection, but I search on a bridge this way. And good, lovely. We can see that we've got this asset here because I added the tag to the metadata, but we've also got some other assets with the bridge search term in it there. Okay. Now then, let's getting back to my favorite image there, and let's look up into the top left-hand corner here. So you can see some immediate statistics about how this asset's been used. You can see that it's been shared 11 times, and I'll talk about shares more. It's been liked once, has got one favorite in it, been downloaded 3 times, and has been viewed 193 times. I go to this image a lot, and we can see later on in reports that you can get that sort of information organized and presented to you in an orderly fashion. Now then, if we just look at the sharing, the download capability is where I want to go first. So when we choose to download a file, you can see that we get several different download capabilities over here. We can get the original file, we can get a low-res JPEG, high-res JPEG, or a PNG. And this happens automatically by Flight, and it'll do that for any of the various image types. Other file formats like video, it'll just give you the ability to download the original format for you. Okay, now then, just going through some things, and I do see somebody's asked me another question there, and yes, over here, it's actually, I was talking to somebody earlier today. You can just go to favorites over here, and that'll show you your favorites. So there's my image there. So if I've favorited this by clicking on the heart icon there, or you can get to that just off the thumbnail here. So you can just click on the thumbnail there. You see your favorites, and this button up here will take you to all of the different favorites that you've tagged so far. Okay then, now let's go to the sharing capability. Now I'm going to click this sharing capability here to share an asset, and you can see that I get a whole wide range of different ways of sharing my content out to people. Now then, I use several different types. Commonly I use Pinterest, I use Box, but I'm going to show you a couple of the most simplest forms. First of all, let's just create an email. So if I want to send an email, maybe to Linda, like this, and I want to set an expiration date here, so I just want to give that to her till maybe the 11th, and okay, now when I send that out, that'll send an email to Linda. There'll be a little tag with it, much like what's shown on the screen here, and she'll be able to click on that tag there, and that'll immediately bring her into my Flight portal, and she'll be able to see the image that I've sent her, which is a very good thing. It's a very good way of sharing content. And when you do share content that way, you are sharing content to anyone. They don't need to be a registered user. And just like all of these other Dropbox, Facebook, Box, Pinterest, these are going out on shared media. Now then, if we just look at this one on the far right here, this is just the simplest version of this. So I'll just set an expiration date on that, click create a link. And what is Flight doing here? It's creating a URL. So if I just copy that to my clipboard and open up a new window in my browser here, and you can see this is how Linda would have got that file if I was sitting at Linda's computer and could show that to you. She'll get a link in that email that will take her to that asset there, and she'll be able to see it, she'll be able to download it, and you can control the permissions for those people. So this is what Flight is doing when you share content, is it's really sharing the content via a link, which is a very good thing. Now just jumping back into my Flight portal here. So we've looked at some of the forms of sharing an image. Let's go and have a look at sharing a video. And so there are some particular video sharing methodologies. So when we go and share this video file here, you see that we've also got Vimeo and YouTube. So say if I do the YouTube share, I'm logged into YouTube via my Gmail account, I believe, and if I just click the continue button here, that video is immediately shared out onto YouTube. And that's very good. It's a very easy way for you to manage different types of media within Flight, to put those media through an approval process. If you remember when I first showed you over here on the left hand side, and maybe when the content has been approved, you can directly share that content out via a range of different social media or other formats. Okay, now then, and so far in how we've been showing the sharing of content, it's been pushing content from Flight out into other forms of social media or other forms of communication, collaboration. Now then, we can also pull content across. So over here, I've got a folder which is linked to my Box account. So these two images have been uploaded into Box, and Flight basically pulls them over into Flight. And once they become a part of Flight, I can manage them like any other image in Flight. So for example, I can add extra metadata up here under the description. I can assign them into different albums, and they can become searchable, say via any of the other keywords that I've shown you so far. So this is a two-way communication with social media between Flight. You can push content out into social media or pull it across. Okay, now then, we've sort of got through most of that sharing capability. Let me just check the questions and the chat feed here. Good. Okay then. Just let me know if there are any further questions that you want to ask me. All right. Good. Lovely. Now then, what we're going to do now, a couple of other points. I'm just going to show you a very good feature about Flight, and that is versioning of content. So my black and white image here. Okay, and you might ask me why I've got a black and white image. Okay, so over here in the versioning, you can see that I've got three versions of this asset. A first version I uploaded was a JPEG. It was a color version. Then I had another version here. This is a PNG version was uploaded and made available, and then a converted black and white image was made available. Now at any time I can swap around the version, so I could select that one, make this current, and that's going to swap around the current version. The current image showing is then going to be the color version. But it does allow me to engage in editing of content and making different versions of the original available, which is a very good thing. And you can see my thumbnails updated over there to show the colored version. Okay, now then, just keeping an eye on the time here. Now then, let's have a look over here at this particular folder over here. Now this is an example of how you can use the inbuilt feature of portals within Flight to share out content to different people, and this could be different communities of users. So far, what you've been showing me here, this overall portal, which comes off the URL link that I've got up in the top of my browser here, that is really my management portal. It's what most people would be using. Most of the people viewing this webinar would typically be going into this area. But you might have some targeted communities of people that are going to really consume the content, and you want to create special portals for them. So in my case here, my scenario, I've got an imaginary client here, my client. I've created 2 albums for them, some lifestyle images, and it's important to see here that I've got, what is there, about 7 lifestyle images. And if I just go into the filtering area there, you can see of those 7 images, 5 have been approved. And if I just go back here and look at the corporate images, in the corporate images, of which there are numerous, you can see that we've got only 5 of those have been approved. Okay. So keeping an eye on that, and also keeping an eye on that my client uses a different branding. Over here from my menu item, I can go and look at some of these other portals, and I can do that because I'm an administrator, I'm a pilot. So I can see I've got a range of different portals here, so I'm going to just choose my client portal, and when I click the submit button, I get an extra window opening up in my browser, And then within this window, you can see that we've got our separate portal. It's branded separately, different color scheme, different logo being used. It's only showing a subsection of my content. You see I've got my 2 albums there, but you can see that we've only got those images that have been approved. You can see that we've got lesser capabilities. So if we look at the sharing area and go here and we look at some of the capabilities, you can see that we've got less capabilities within this portal for these users. And it means that I can easily cross-reference some of that content into the portal and make that available to, in this case, my client. And they would be using this URL up here. So you might be able to see that in the top of my browser. So it's the same URL that runs for my standard portal, a P, and then my client is how I've named that portal. And if you go through the settings and the setup, you get to choose what you want that URL to be. Recently, we had a customer ask us if they could have their own dedicated URL, and that's been set up for them. So it doesn't have to be this one that says run Canto flight if you choose. Okay then, now then, let's just close that down, check for any questions. Oh, okay then. All right, sorry, suddenly I've got a whole range of questions. Okay. Right, okay, good. Jenny's asked about the cross-referencing part. Yep, I'll just quickly do that. Let me just go back up here. And this was going to my image in Brisbane, my black and white image over here. And this is where I was showing that I've got 3 different albums assigned to this image, or I could say that I've got this image tagged into 3 different albums, and this is where it's been cross-referenced. So I can go into my local content album and I can see this image. There it is there. Okay, because we swapped that around to be the colored version, remember. We can see it in my Brisbane album, and we've got it in a 3rd album as well. So that's the cross-referencing capability. Okay then, right, now for the exciting bit, we're now going to get into my presentation on the InDesign integration. So I'm just going to rearrange my browser screen here and go to InDesign over here. Now then, you should be able to see the InDesign screen here because I'm now sharing out the entire window. I'm just going to check any comments here. If you can't see it, do please let me know on chat or in questions. So that looks good so far. Now then, when you install the plugin for Flight into InDesign, and I am running 2015 here, you get a new menu item up here. Right, now I'm going to simply log in, and when I get to my login screen, I can then enter in my login details here. And these are my same details that I use to log into my standard flight portal, and I choose that InDesign can access my flight content. And in InDesign, I've got a template document over here. This is from a very good friend of mine, right, Hayley. Right, arrange that just like that. Good. Move my link dialog box over here a bit. Right, okay, so I can now, from Flight, I can select an image, I can click on it, and I can drag that into InDesign like this. It takes a little while to come across there, and I can maybe grab another image from Flight over here like this one and drag this one across as well. And yes, lovely. I can just move my, get back up here, get this image, put that one over there, and and then get this image and drag that across into there. Okay, now then, and I need to make sure I've got the right tool selected. I can select all of those different images there. I can just set them to fit proportionally. Oops, I must have missed these two bottom ones. Right, so I've got them fitted into my picture boxes correctly, and I've dragged and dropped them over from Flight directly into InDesign. So that shows the InDesign integration. It uses a InDesign plugin, and you can basically drag and drop your content straight into InDesign. Over here under the links dialog box, you can see that for each one of the different images here, it first pulls over a low res image. I can double click on this icon over here, and that will load the high res image into InDesign. And you can also come up here and you can into the link pull down menu, and for any image you can have that reveal back into Flight. So for example, after I've saved my InDesign document and later on myself or somebody else opens up that document and wants to know the link from InDesign back into Flight, I can choose to reveal that in Flight, and it'll go and take me back into Flight. Okay, that was very good. Now then, that's pretty much close to the end of my presentation. I'm just going to quickly jump into... All right, Jenny's asked, what res is it dragging? I think maybe you sent that question through before I showed you the link dialog box there. Yes, it does give us a low res initially, and then as I showed you up in the link dialog box up here, you can double click and you start downloading the high reses if you want to as well. Okay, good. And I'm just going to wind up now. I'm just going to quickly jump over here into the settings, remembering that Flight is all about simple and easy to use. I'll give you a quick whirlwind tour of the settings here. Got a whole range of different capabilities. We can manage the users and the groups and the different user permissions within Flight. Over here is where we create our portal. So this is where I've created the portal for my client, nominated which folder is going to be shared, what permissions, which users can access it, and set up the branding. Over here in configurations, I've created the custom branding for my portal, that lovely image taken from Coromandel, set the DataBasics icon, the About box, some control over the interface, set up which metadata fields appear in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, created the keywords, the custom fields. Over here in integrations, this is where I can control, say, that box integration. Over here in reports, I'll just show you a few of those. So this one here is a very typical one that people want to see. They want to see the file storage by type, either by volume or by file count. We can click on this button here and we see the exact details there. Lots of different reports in here, of course. So my email sharing history, for example, this is the email that I sent out today. And so say if I click on that, that'll take me and show me the selection of files that I shared out to Linda today. Now that's only a single file in there, of course, but you can group several files together and share them out as a group, so you can go back and keep a track of everything that's been shared out. Okay, and the subscription tells you about your usage of Flight, and the advanced uploader is a batch uploader for you to upload a whole heap of content into Flight at one go. Okay then, so this pretty much rounds up my presentation for today. Now then, I've got a few extra questions. Can you create custom workflows? No, not really, Andrew. You know, like the workflow that we've got within Flight is, as said, when images first get uploaded, they get put into a pending state once somebody chooses to move them over into approved, and your workflow there could be that once they've been into pending, you could come into comments and you could add a few different people into comments. Like might be getting approval off Linda and Jerome. Please approve this image. Right, so I could be collaborating that way and getting a few different people involved in my workflow. So Flight gives you a range of highly functional capabilities and how you decide to use the solution, and the different capabilities could be in fact your workflow. But it's not like we can custom build anything in there. Now then, I should give you some updates on this. There is a knowledge base over here I need to tell you about, but I did see in a recent, here, one of the updates notes. So this is the update note for SFO, which is the most recent version, that you can, there is, have I got the right one? Yes, there we are. There is a RESTful API. Right, so I believe the API is mainly there for people to do integrations with the product. So you could be integrating Flight with another solution, for example. The knowledge base here, it comes off the Flight help, is a very useful area of the solution. So, for example, when I set up the InDesign integration today, and I must say that Canto do a very good job of documenting the solution. I went through these steps here in how to install the InDesign plugin and how to get it to work properly, and that was very good. Right, any more questions? Okay, people. Right, so it seems to be that we've got all of the questions answered, and I'm on time for my 45 minutes with questions. So thank you very much for attending today's Flight webinar. We will be sending out emails with a recording of the webinar to you, and we welcome you to contact anyone here at DataBasics to find out more about Flight. Thank you very much.